Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat siang. Magandang hapon sa inyong lahat. Honorable Consul General of Republic of Indonesia in Davao City, Bapak Diki Fabrian. Our distinguished resource speakers, Mr. Emmy English, Ibu Cindy Priscilla Wowot, and Ibu Puspita Ayu. Our business communities and fashion enthusiasts from Indonesia and the Philippines, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Alicia Fitri Handayani, Vice Consul for Economic Affairs in Indonesian Consulate General in Davao City. I will be moderator for today's program. Once again, I would like to welcome everyone to Creative Economy Forum of Indonesia Food, Beverage, and Lifestyle Expo 2021. With the theme of promoting Indonesia and the Philippines creative economy sector by introducing Indonesia and the Philippines fashion heritage to the world. I hope everyone all in a good health and set to join today's webinar. We know both Indonesia and the Philippines are targeting to be global creative economy player by 2030. One of the subsector of creative economy is fashion. The value of fashion extends far beyond mere articles of clothing that satisfy basic human needs. Fashion is also related to aspects of lifestyle and appearances, as well as a reflection of one's identity or a group. The importance of fashion is further proven through its large contribution to the added value of a country's economy, as well as contribution to the national GDP and exports. The fashion subsector has become one of the leading subsectors in the creative economy. Sustainable fashion is an important issue that must be considered in order to develop the national fashion in the future. We are lucky today having three resource speakers that are capable to share their insights and expertise of traditional to modern way of fashion designing and from offline to digital fashion heritage marketing strategy in these current situations and to preserve heritage fashion intellectual property rights in this modern era. So before we hear presentations from our resource speakers, I would like to invite our Consul General Bapak Diki Fabrian to deliver his remark. To Bapak Konjen, the stage is yours.
Terima kasih Ibu Eli. Thank you, Mam Eli. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Magandang hapon sa inyong lahat. A very good afternoon to all of us. Let me first greet Bapak Widya Rahmanto, Chargé d'Affaires ad interim of Indonesian Embassy in Manila, Mr. Emmy English, Head of Product Design, Development and Innovation, Davao Fashion Design Council, Ibu Cindy Priscilla Wowor, Founder of COFO Indonesia, Ibu Puspita Ayu Permatasari, Research Coordinator of Eyewear Batiks, creative economy sectors, related government agencies, private sectors, and fashion enthusiasts from the Philippines and Indonesia. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, allow me first to express my sincere gratitude and appreciation to our research speakers, business communities, fashion enthusiasts of both countries who join us today for rendering your invaluable effort in collaborating with us to pursue mutually beneficial cooperation between Indonesia and the Philippines in promoting creative economy sectors. The year 2021 was declared as the International Year of Creative Economy for Sustainable Development at the 74th United Nations General Assembly meeting held in New York in the year 2019, 2 years ago. Creative economy has contributed to the achievement of sustainable development in the economic, social, and environmental area. It has fostered economic growth and innovation, eradicated poverty by creating full and productive employment for all, improved the quality of life and empowerment of women and young people. For Indonesia, creative economy is very diverse and so far covers 16 different sectors such as fashion, apps and game development, architecture, interior design, product design, visual communication design, movies, animation and video, photography, craft, culinary arts, music, publishing, advertising, performing arts, fine art, television, and last but not least, radio. These subsectors are expected to make significant contribution to Indonesia's GDP and to boost export and employment. Indonesia's creative economy industry has been ranked the third largest in the world in terms of its contribution to the GDP after the USA and South Korea. In 2019, the creative economy sectors also observes around 17 million workers in Indonesia. Fashion has so far remained the creative economy subsector with the highest contribution to Indonesia's GDP of US 9 billion. Meanwhile, the handicraft industry contributed US 4.9 billion and the culinary industry for 1 billion US dollar to our GDP. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, COVID-19 pandemic has brought a lot of challenges to us, especially to creative economy sectors, not only in the Philippines or Indonesia, but also to the rest of the world. The pandemic paralyzed the creative economy with the closure of museums, theaters, cinemas, bookshops, and workshops. The creative economy sectors has to adapt and transform their business using digital technology from the creative process, production, until the products or services delivered to customers. However, we are optimistic that creative economy sectors could be survive during this hard time and become more stronger after the pandemic. On today's event, we will be highlighting the theme of promoting Indonesia and the Philippines creative economic sectors by introducing Indonesia and the Philippines fashion heritage to the world. During this forum, our three research speakers, one from the Philippines and two from Indonesia, will share their insight and expertise of traditional to modern way of fashion designing and from offline to digital fashion heritage marketing strategy in this very current situation. We will also learn that technology can be used to preserve heritage fashions, intellectual property right in this modern era. I do hope that through this virtual seminar, people from both countries will more understand about the heritage fashion from both countries, Indonesia and the Philippines, and in turn make some collaboration to introduce it together to the world. This webinar will be the first of our collaborative event. We plan to have more collaboration with our Filipino counterparts in the future, such as organizing virtual expo, virtual business-to-business matching, virtual fashion show, and other events related to 16 subsectors of creative economy sectors that I just mentioned earlier. Therefore, I would like to invite everyone to visit booths of our Indonesian creative economy business sectors who join the Indonesian Food, Beverage, and Lifestyle Expo 2021. You can buy Indonesian batik, fashion, accessories, handicraft, and also food and beverage from Indonesia. Rest assured their products are competitive in the Philippine market. Once again, all the best to all of us. Enjoy the webinar. Maraming salamat and terima kasih. Back to you, Ma'am Eli.
Thank you so much. Terima kasih Bapak Konjen for your encouraging remarks. So, before we start the webinar, I would like to kindly remind our audience for typing your questions in the Q&A section on your right side on your screen, because we will have time for questions and answer session after the presentation. Without further ado, I would like to invite our first speaker. He graduated as Master of Arts in Fine Arts and Design from Philippines Women's University, Manila. He has enormous professional work experiences, such as fashion designer, of course, from 2008 until present, instructor in Philippines Women's College of Davao, creative entrepreneurship advocate, accreditor of Philippine Accrediting Association of College and Universities for Architecture, Fine Arts, and Interior Design programs from 2016 until present. And of course, he is the founder, member, and secretary of Davao Fashion and Design Council Foundation. He got many outstanding awards and recognitions from various institutions, such as Outstanding Achievement in Fashion Design and Education, Creative Innovation Fellow by British Council in the Philippines, and he has participated in design exhibitions and fashion shows in all around the Philippines. He has been part of Philippines delegates in some international conferences and educational tours. So we might invite Mr. Emmy Inglis to the floor.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me well?
Yes, sir. We can hear you.
Okay. Thank you. So, may I ask Sir Rodel to share my slides? So, to Consul General Vicky Fabrian, Vice Consul Eli Handayani, my fellow speakers, Cindy Wawor of COFO Indonesia, and Puspita Ayu Permatasari of Eyewear Batik, our friends from Indonesia and the Philippines who are joining us in this platform and its broadcast online, good afternoon. Madayao from this corner of the world. I am currently in General Santos City, but my colleagues in the Davao Fashion and Design Council would like to send our warmest greetings to all of you. Thank you for this exciting opportunity to jumpstart all the best and more ahead of us. Next slide, please. So my name is Emmy Anglis. I'm currently the Secretary and Committee Chair for Product Research, Design and Development of the Davao Fashion and Design Council Foundation, Inc., as well as Head of the Center for Innovation and Social Ventures at Philippine Women's College of Davao. Next slide, please. Allow me to enjoin to celebrate everyone to celebrate the International Year of the Creative Economy for Sustainable Development, of which the Republic of Indonesia is leading. Our warmest congratulations for the successful launch in Geneva last February. Your creative economy model seems to be a very good template for the ASEAN and the rest of the world to reflect upon. That said, allow me to share with you the baby steps as well as a young energy of creativity and enterprise we hope will impact from spark into flame. I'm going to share the context, profile, network, milestones, and prospects of the Davao Fashion and Design Council in yet an ecosystem we needed to strengthen. Next slide, please. So to put context, let's briefly navigate our landscape. Next slide, please. As we all know, the Philippines in orange and Indonesia in blue are part of the bigger ASEAN plus three, including China, Korea, and Japan. We do share a lot of similarities rather than differences. While we are physically separated by water, history would tell us that these bodies of water actually connected us. Our cultures are intertwined because our ancestors have traveled the seas to bring around knowledge systems, practices, and technology we now see uniquely to each of the ASEAN member countries and its people. Next slide, please. Interestingly, Indonesia and the Philippines are also part of the Brunei, Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines East ASEAN growth area. Mindanao, in particular, is among the backdoor or backwater growth areas that make up BIM Iaga. I would always love to romance my perception of this growth spurt as progress from the fringes. Next slide, please. As mentioned, Indonesia and the Philippines, especially Mindanao, have long since developed a special relationship politically, socio-economically, and very importantly, culturally. Next slide, please. Mindanao's 6 regions have been a testimony to this relationship and its impact to the growth and development of the island. Next slide, please. Among these regions, Davao region, composed of the provinces of Davao Oriental, Davao de Oro, Davao del Norte, del Sur, and Davao Occidental, and the chartered city of Davao have been the center of all these exciting activities. For one, Davao City has embodied the collective culture, heritage, and identity of the region and that of Mindanao. Davao City is so far the only city in the entire Philippines to have the most number of cultural groups and communities. Next slide, please. Politically named the 11 Kadayuan tribes of Davao, Davao City has proven that diversity can be most beautiful and can be celebrated in the spirit of unity. We have 5 Lumads and 6 Islamist groups, together with migrant Christian settlers and expatriates living in peace and harmony with each other. Next slide, please. The diversity of cultures inspired our young fashion visionaries some 2 decades ago to come together and reflect on the blessings of our rich and colorful heritage and pride of place. Next slide, please. Thus, the Davao Fashion and Design Council Foundation, Inc., or DFDCI, next slide please, was formally instituted into a civil society organization after a roller coaster journey in over 2 decades. Next slide please. DFDCFI is the region's most active and engaged creative industry professional organization with a curated designer membership composed by Davao City's most achieving, participating, and contributing designers. The foundation's common goal is to professionalize the practice of fashion and design in the region. In 2016, we secured our official registration with the Securities and Exchange Commission. 3 years later, the city government of Davao recognized the foundation as a CSO grantee through a city ordinance, number 0120-10, and so far, DFDCFI is the only LGU recognized and partly funded fashion design organization in the country today. And in the midst of the pandemic last year, DFDC was easily enjoined among the pioneering institutional members of the Philippine Fashion Coalition. Next slide, please. The foundation has three-pronged mission. First is professional design and academic program development, being a partner of the Philippine Women's College of Davao. Second is heritage-based product research and development, being a creative partner of various local and national trade, tourism, and culture and heritage agencies. And thirdly, creative community and industry collaborations, being a co-designer and facilitator of various community-based and indigenous arts, crafts, and enterprises in partnership with traditional ethno-linguistic groups and emerging crafting communities. So to achieve that, DFDC has been building its support network of partners and stakeholders, and also collaborators, whose common goal is to recollect, conserve, and curate local heritage and culture to create a design identity that is truly Davao. Next slide, please. We have since adopted the Department of Science and Technology's concept of pentahelix model that included government, industry, academe, society, and media. Next slide, please. Our partners and collaborators are growing, and we hope to extend this community with you in Indonesia. We have established our strongest base in the academe, the Philippine Women's College of Davao in particular. PWC of Davao is the pioneering art and design school in Mindanao. It was the first to offer a baccalaureate straight program in fashion design. Next slide, please. We also have rationalized in our strategic perspective the school Sky Plus innovation streams approach, contextualizing innovation by optimizing culture, heritage, and identity and instruction in science, technology, research, entrepreneurship education, and arts management for sustainability. Next slide, please. The PWC Center for Innovation and Social Ventures, ethos of culture-based creative entrepreneurship for social impact remained to be our strongest core. It was initially established through a fellowship with the British Council Creative Innovators Program, and one of our success stories is the empowerment of Bagobo Tagabawi women in transcending their indigenous culture to mainstream culture. Next slide, please. We've also enlarged this precept with PWC of Davao and its partner state and local colleges and universities in Davao region, through a hub network which has been considered already a springboard to create community-led innovation centers by the Department of Science and Technology. It has initially included indigenous textiles, technology, systems, and processes. Next slide, please. DCFI has so far navigated this ambitious concept in the so to this part, the context of localizing its efforts and initiatives, believing that local is the new normal. It has ladderized its efforts by way of different local, regional, national, and international platforms like Miss Universe, Manila Fame, for example, and even exhibitions with the Yuchangco Museum in Manila, as well as Budayao, the Festival of Cultures in the Bib-Iaga region. Next slide, please. We've also encouraged our young talents to compete and participate in international design competitions and fashion weeks, like how we in our generation have started it some 10 years ago in Paris, France. And so this time, many of our young designers have gone abroad, like for example, in the Japan Fashion Design Contest, as well as London Fashion Week to present their collections. Next slide, please. And we have really encouraged our design talents to forge more collaborations with inclusive communities back home. We encourage them to really start their businesses or their enterprises where they're coming from in the provinces. Next slide, please. DFDCFI has also been instrumental in organizing the region's business incubation and design ideation platforms like Habi Kadayawan and Stellar, and also Fashion Week and Davao, which won a silver at Anvil for event milestone. Next slide, please. DFDCFI has also partnered with the Department of Trade and Industry, TESDA, and PWC to establish the first design shared service facility in the region called STEACH. It stands for Simulation and Training for Industry and Technology Transitioning Creative Hubs. Next slide, please. Most importantly, as the Philippines strives to strengthen its creative economy, the FDCFI has been in the forefront of the Philippine Fashion Coalition sectors in design, textile, arts, crafts, education, and creative services, and has been closely working for different legislation and policies with the Arts and Culture and Creative Industries Bloc of the 18th Congress, or ACHIED, in Manila. Next slide, please. With that said, DFDCFI continues to move forward with the leadership of our current president, Dodji Batu. You avenues to explore opportunities through collaboration, cultural exchange, business support, and creative research. Next slide, please. These areas are very important because currently we're also not only trying to curate and to also help our Lumad communities, specifically ikat weaving, but very importantly, one of our fashion design pioneers, this is really one big avenue think would like to Indonesia expertise and you needed to take, and we thank you for sharing the journey with us. So once again, I wish everyone all the best and more. God bless. Daghang salamat. Terima kasih.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Dagang salamat, Mr. Emmy. Okay. It's really interesting to hear your information about the development of Mindanao fashion heritage during until this time. Now, as you may aware, North Sulawesi province in Indonesia is close to Mindanao. After we hear the development of heritage fashion in Mindanao, we would like to hear more insights from the neighbor, North Sulawesi. Kofo Brands is the reviving Kofo woven heritage from North Sulawesi. We are lucky we had Mrs. Cindy Wawar, the lady behind the brand, together with us today. Mrs. Cindy graduated from Samratulangi University, majoring international business administration, and pursued her master's degree in BINUS Business School, majoring strategic marketing. She has extensive experience in business development, marketing strategy, and event planning. She was the Miss North Sulawesi in 2003 and the top 6 finalists of Miss Indonesia in 2005. Her brand, Kofo Indonesia, also has got many awards and recognition, such as Adiwastra Nusantara, Festival Sarung Indonesia, and Asian Traditional Textile Symposium. Kofo also participated in many international exhibitions in Italy, Germany, Japan, and many local exhibitions. Without further ado, I invite Mrs. Cindy Priscilla Wawor to the stage. Ma'am, the floor is yours.
Honorable Consul General Mr. Diki Fabrian, Honorable Speaker Mr. Emmy Al-Engis, Ms. Puspita Ayu Permatasari, Moderator Ms. Ellie, and distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it is a great honor and privilege for me to have been invited to be here in Business Investment Forum 2021, introducing Indonesia and the Philippine heritage fashion to the world. I'm Cindy Wawor. I'm delighted to share my presentation about Kofo Indonesia. Slide 1, please. Yes. Okay. So let me start with the history. The word Kofo is the same as Hote in Sangihe daily language or Rote in a Talaut's daily language, which is one of banana species well known as abaca that grow abundantly in the islands of Sangihe Talaut, North Sulawesi for centuries. Hote banana or abaca is a significant plant in the life of Sangihe Talaut tribe, used as the basic material for fabric as well as one of the components for the traditional house in the region. As seen in this slide, if you see on the left side, that is my collection, about 120 years old, that been presented in a museum textile in Asian Games 2018. So towards to the end of 1800, the colonial Dutch forbid an order to destroy Hote banana plantation to be replaced by a coffee and cotton. And despite the unfortunate circumstances, the Hote banana survived and remained planted by the people of Sangihe Talaut because it was irreplaceable as the material for fabric. Next slide, please. Yeah. Back in the 18th centuries, the weavers, the artisan, and the local community were wearing kofo fabric. As seen in this slide, kakunsi pattern is considered the most primitive art expression of the oldest indigenous people in the archipelago. So the philosophy is quite interesting, which is symbolizes honor, respect, establishment, success, and the soul to protect and nurture his people. Indeed, it is a special thing that the pattern have survived, and not only in a fringe decoration, but also in many variation, and even as a standalone ornaments. Next slide, please. So kofo fabric was last presented in a 1927 by Tabukan Kingdom at the palace of Sultan Surakarta and received eri diploma from the colonial Dutch. Somehow it then gradually disappeared, and in 1979 kofo fabric was last presented in Yogyakarta by Ibu Maka Teng Teng Rodingan. And kofo textile has been officially stated as the non-material heritage to be preserved and protected among the 33 Indonesia traditional textiles by the Ministry of Education and Culture in 2017. So the motifs on kofo fabric are adapted from the nature with the philosophy that are related in Sangihe Talaut, dated back to the primitive age until 1900. Next slide, please. Okay, and here, why is Kofo Indonesia as a brand? So Kofo Indonesia believes in the movement of cultural preservation and modern revitalization of 200-year-old woven fabric called Kofo, Koffo. So Kofo Indonesia bring back the long forgotten heritage of North Sulawesi, Indonesia to the 21st century world. Created from wild banana abaca fibers and weaved to perfection, Kofo Indonesia reinvents Kofo textiles, richly diverse motifs and symbols in each design. So altogether, empowering local communities in its place of origin, Kofo Indonesia strives to extend our imagination to many other creations. Our mission is to bring this hidden treasure out for the world to experience. And Kofo Indonesia as a brand strives to preserve and revive this proud North Sulawesi heritage by making it relevant to modern life. Next slide, please. Yeah. So what do we do to develop our brand? So our brand development, our cultural approach to society and community. So which promotes the source is from local wisdom and determine the sustainable business model. Two, introducing product through storytelling. Brand story about why and how is very important to let others know that we, as a brand, we put so much respect to the culture. We write story that attracted our customers, for example, about the community, about the commitment, local issue, and practice empathy. Three, we build up commitment and partnership, internal commitment with our own team, commitment with the weavers, the artisans, also partnership with the designers and the community. Four, communication strategy, which meant digital platform. We integrated different kind of media. We use our own media like website, social media, Instagram, Facebook, and other media platform. And five, proactive involve customer. We let customer design their clothes with us, or kind of like a co-creation with our client, so that our client or our customers feels engaged with the brand, because they are part of the process. Next slide, please. Yeah, the innovation based on what customer needs and our ability to deliver on the needs of our customers. So firstly, about how to give value added to customer. We have an in-house designer to help the clients to achieve their desired looking fit with the various variety of fabrics to choose. And second, unique selling point, which is the abaca fiber. It's quite special, and then a lot of fabric to choose for application in terms of the abaca fiber itself. So the innovation lies in how to maximize the use of abaca fibers in creating products that our customers need. So the key here, continually do innovation, of course, to survive in the business, especially during this challenging time. KOFO keep working and collaborated with Bandung Institute Technology to do educational research about how to maximize the use of abaca fiber. Through this collaboration, we develop a softer fiber that can be used in clothing, bags, shoes, and accessories in eco-friendly process. Next slide, please. So KOFO Indonesia is much more than just a textile. KOFO is about reviving the forgotten Indonesian heritage, kain KOFO or the KOFO fabric, inspired by the magical beauty of its place of origin and unspoiled paradise in North Sulawesi, Sangihe Talaut Islands. Next slide, please. Yeah, as seen in this slide, KOFO combine abaca fibers with cotton and other modern materials such as we see in this slide 9, which KOFO fabric applied into urban style fashion through a variety of techniques such as stitches, puff, emboss, screen printing, laser cut, and of course ikat techniques, while sustaining the durable and strong characteristics of banana fibers. So the use of banana fibers, it's more than just a textile. It can be used for a variety of applications like wallpapers, shoes, handbags, and others. Next slide, please. The importance of designs for us in KOFO Indonesia based on 3 factors. Firstly, about the functionality. How does it feel? Is it comfortable? So it's all about comfort cut and design. So secondly, about lookability. How does it look? Certain people like bright colors, but some like natural color. And this is kind of like a challenge for us on how to design and fit into our customer taste. And thirdly, price ability. Is the feel and the look at the reasonable price? Is the price can be afforded by our target market? Next slide, please. Well, to enter foreign market, I don't have a lot of experience internationally. However, I have some, and let me share my experience when KOFO Indonesia enter a foreign market such as Japan, Italy, and Germany. So first, we pay attention about the social, the culture, the trends, the economy, and the politics in that particular country. And secondly, we implementing our own DNA into our collection. So it doesn't mean that we're gonna tap or we're gonna enter market of Japan and we totally change our DNA, but we still carry our own DNA, but then adapt with the social, the culture in that particular country. And thirdly, must have a social responsibility, which KOFO Indonesia mostly works with the local community while practicing social economical friendly practices. Next slide, please. So based on our experience in Tokyo, Japan 2018, people tends like the natural and earthy color. And our experience in Hamburg, Germany in 2018, people tends to like natural color, simple cutting, and motif. And it's quite interesting in Milan, Italy 2019, people tends to like vibrant color, modern, and chic style. Next slide, please. So KOFO Indonesia role on a creative economy while preserving the heritage fashion. One, we partnership with institutions to educate and develop weavers and artisan skill. So we partnered with Ministry of Industry and Trade, also National Craft Council of North Sulawesi. Thank you to Ibu Rita Dondokambe Tamuntuan for your full support. Second, we empower local and community throughout North Sulawesi. So we started to empower local in Sangihe and Talaut Island. And currently, we empower local in Minahasa and Southeast Minahasa. Thirdly, we offer solution to those who appreciate deep-rooted culture in the forms of artistic in everyday items, such as fashion, accessories, and home decor. So we actively involve in creative economy in the region, be part of different events, programs through online or offline, and to promote the heritage into various products. Next slide, please. As seen in this slide, each of Kovo product, beautifully designed and delicately hand-weaved cloth, tells a story of a long-forgotten treasure from North Sulawesi. Next slide, please. Well, thank you so much for your kind attention. Please do reach us through Instagram, Kovo Indonesia, Facebook, Kovo Indonesia, through WhatsApp or our website, kovo.co.id. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ibu Cindy, for your explanation about the brand Kovo. It's really interesting for me since I just knew the story behind the brand and also the history of the Kovo weaven. Okay, now we move to our third speaker. Ms. Puspita Ayu Permatasari got her Bachelor of Humanity in Chinese Studies from University of Indonesia, master degree majoring Management World Heritage and Tourism for Sorbonne University Paris, and she is the PhD candidate in Communication Science and Technology for Intangible Cultural Heritage and Tourism in University della Svizzera Italiana, Switzerland. She is the coordinator of Eyewear Batik, a digital platform that is designed to showcase and communicate the exceptional cultural values of Batik tradition that is protected by UNESCO as the legacy of humanity. To learn more about this Eyewear Batik, I invite Ms. Puspita Ayu to enter the floor.
Halo, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat pagi, good morning, everyone. Thank you very much. I'm so honored to be here. My name is Puspita Ayu Permatasari. I'm from East Java, Indonesia, and today I have this honor to greet all of you and my fellow speakers, Mr. Diki Fabrian, the General Counselor, and Mr. Emmy and Miss Cindy. I hope everyone today in a great condition and in a healthy situation amidst this pandemic. So let's talk about something about digital technology in culture. So maybe you would like to share the slide. Where is the slide? Okay. So yeah, thank you so much. So today we are talking about promoting the wise use of digital technology to preserve Indonesian batik. And this project actually is a collaboration between the LPDP Ministry of Finance through the scholarship that I was granted 4 years ago, and then UNESCO Chair, the Incubator Institute of Technology in Switzerland. And then we also have the Sobat Budaya Institution as our partner in order to create a digital technology that serves as the pilot project of the UNESCO in the world in terms of intangible cultural heritage. So next, please. Let me start this presentation by first saying continuous learning is the rise of all cultured people. Next. So the forewords before we continue throughout this presentation, I would like to invite you to download the Eyewear Batik application on iOS and Android. Next. As you know that one download actually helps to preserve Indonesian batik in digital, in the diplomacy of digital technology in the UNESCO. Why? We integrate artificial intelligence in order to create or recognize the batik that you wear or the batik you see and then captured from the application, and then you can know what kind of motif and the meaning inside it. And not only that, you can also access all of the information about 124 batik motifs in the hand. So for instance, if there are, we have been invited by some Indonesian embassies in the world, for instance, Austria, Germany, and then from Japan, that they would like, they happen to use I Wear Batik mobile application to conduct the virtual exhibition. And this helps them a lot in order to actually communicate it, batik heritage in an interactive way, because sometimes the producers or the sellers, they don't know about the what kind of batik motifs they sell. And in this artificial intelligence that we have built upon 800 batik images of Indonesia, can we actually assist the local producers and everyone to get to know just by one click. And if you don't have any batik in front of you or any patterned textile, you can also take a selfie and be surprised of what kind of motif your face might look like and how beautiful the meaning is. So next. Yes, so now today we are talking about this website called iwearbatik.org, which stands for I am aware of batik. Next. So 14 years before I Wear Batik, why I came up with this idea. So I Wear Batik is my PhD research project. But first of all, I would like to just conclude the 14 years ago, I, I have this kind of the journey of curiosity in culture and technology. Today, I am so happy to be in the in the panel discussion with the Miss Eli Handayani, is my classmate in Bachelor of Chinese Studies, University of Indonesia, 2006. And from this period, and when studying Chinese literature, I was aware that all the kanji has all the meanings. So I was reflecting back on how my grandmom put batik on as a jarik or sarong, and she said to me, she said to me once that batik is a sacred, but I didn't know what kind of sacredness it is. And then I found out that actually after having this possibility to obtain master degree in Sorbonne, that actually I learned a lot of Indonesian batik motifs hold all the meaningful treasures in terms of meanings. And then I had to the opportunity to assist Indonesian embassy for Indonesian representative for UNESCO Paris, and then also in the UNESCO Switzerland. Then I would like to see if how can from my background can help Indonesian all, not only one region but 34 regions, to highlight their intangible cultural heritage in terms of batik, woven textile, and all the patterns that are related to their core identity. Next. As we know that in Indonesian batik has these four exceptional cultural values. First of all is the philosophical meanings, social empowerment, spatial wearing rules, and historical wax resist dyeing. Next. And if you see that we relate to Mr. Emmy presentation, that I really like the map that he has presented. Actually, Indonesian batik has dated from 5,000 before century. It was developed in the peninsula of Egypt and India based on my research. But then it also separately developed in second period in East Asia, like China and Japan, in Nara, Heian dynasty and Sui dynasty. And then it came to, through maritime Silk Road in the since 8th to 15th century, that we now can recollect all the motifs throughout those centuries in Indonesia. Next. And as you know that all Indonesian 34 regions, so first of all, I would like to just give you a little insight that in 2017, I recognize that the map of Indonesia in terms of textile heritage are divided into two. First of all is the batik regions, which are colored by red, yeah, red marks, and the other one is the woven textile. But today, in 2020, we recognize that all 34 regions develop their own six nature of batik in combination with woven textile and embroidery. So that's why we see that there are the linkage of not only the wearing rules, how batik and woven textile was used in the ancient times, like in 16th and 19th century, but today they are all more diverse, not only for the wedding purpose, but also as festivities, as fashion week. Next. And as you know, that batik also makes up the presence, a very strong presence of diplomacy in the UN Security Council. Next. And in order to complement what is actually that diplomacy in fashion, um, in fashion context, as in the previous slide, we have seen that actually when you are wearing the richness of your textile, national textile, for instance, Philippine textile, Indonesian textile, do we actually show our identity? And since Indonesia right now has reached as the fourth country in terms of internet absolute growth rankings, this diplomacy also enters the digital platform. Next. And in order to enhance the not only to provide the security of the intellectual cultural property rights of Indonesia, me and other research collaborators came up with this idea of I am aware of batik. I wear batik have these two notions, interactive software of batik, and when you hear it, you also think that, oh, I am wearing batik, something like that. Next. And it comes out that all of this collaboration with five stakeholders, I mean, naming from museums, academicians, government, and me, or I mean, my friends, or me, maybe I'm kind of representing one of the young people who was thinking that batik is just too classic and too, I mean, not really engaging enough to be learned by young people. So I'm just thinking that maybe if some people as ignorant as myself, how can I try to engage this, um, yeah, engage through the communication of technology that makes people aware of what are the richness of this textile heritage. So in 2015, there was some digital technologies that was introduced or launched. Part of it is the map of batik that you can see in the chakram diagram, the 300 motifs of Indonesia. But then in 2020, we come up with this eyewear batik combining artificial intelligence, and both of these two mobile apps are the most downloaded, that we actually break through 1,000 download in 6 months. Next. And not only that, we also try to do the diplomacy of knowledge and research through the journals. So as if you are all aware of the academic world, we are identified our work from the journals that we submitted. First of all, the Q3, then Eyewear Batik also presented in World Digital Fashion in in the luxury fashion conference in Switzerland, and the highest journal is the Virtual Archaeology Review, that we identify 322 mobile apps and 164 mobile apps are all dedicated to Indonesian batik in Indonesia. Next. So if you, we have to relate that we have learned from Miss Cindy and then Mr. Emmy that behind the narrative of textile heritage contains all the stakeholders that are also the audience of these stakeholders. Why? From the textile that you touch, it contains some domestic and international context. Not only that, but also fashion and tourism. Next. In this way, we have to engage all these pillars, the millennials, as the users and the audience of our technology, the professional, as we know that today we are all mostly are the professionals in each domain, that you are all structured, no time and busy, but we are also some part of, representative of some artisans, because we like something aesthetic, but we are so sophisticated, and we have to engage in a very easy way. Next. That Next. Okay. So in the sense that we have to try to convey the message of the UNESCO, why at the first time they would like to use this eyewear batik as the pilot project of all textile heritage in the world, because of the complexity, and also the not only the complexity of the contents, but also the complexity of the audience. And in conclusion, that we have to bring out the three essence, the inscription of batik UNESCO in intangible cultural heritage 2009. That means we bring the awareness to all total audience, the tourism and tradition, that we recognize the home of the local producers, where the sustainability needs to be work on and maintained over time through not only fashion but also tourism, when the visitors would like to come to their village to see their textile making process. And then lastly is the artificial intelligence, because in this digital world we cannot just only talk about, okay, how beautiful your textile and motif, etc. But when it comes to digital society, or this specific technology society, we have to provide the most advanced technique that make them realize that all behind this sophisticated technology contains the values of humanity, that we would like to transfer to transform the world into the more humanistic realm. Next. And the next, this our batik actually provide you with so I don't know how I next. Yeah, so the two languages of 124 batik motifs, 129 tourism sites, batik villages, interactive maps, and the thematic meanings. Next. And it also gives you possibility to to operate it in offline mode, and it is provided by protection law, not only Swiss digital law but also Indonesian cultural property law. Next. So for instance, like this, yeah, this will be a great example, for instance, for some SMEs or associations, if you would like to create the database of your textile heritage. First of all, you can provide the meanings of each batik motifs, and then please provide the note that all contents and batik images or textile images are protected by your country's cultural property law. This is important because in order to protect your intellectual cultural property law in the world, we need to educate people. Next. That some aspect needs to be regarded. So we have to use the wise use of technology. Not only we put an awareness of the local and international stakeholders, but also we combine and unite the map of cultural diversity, and try to use the education to strengthen the economic goals, to maintain the goals that you would like to see. Next. And now, so for the success of eyewear batik platform, in 6 months, it has been visited by 133 countries in the world, with the 47,312 are all being aware of the national textile, the exceptional cultural values that are being protected by UNESCO. Next. So we have also used the youth engagement, because you know that Indonesian batik in certain patterns are maybe not too, are too classy, or the other one are too bright. but then the message inside the textile heritage are always like mostly related to the traditionality. So we try to combine this modern aspect by creating an event with Indonesian Student Association in the world, um, entitled Young, Bright, and Prestige. So for we identify those young people who studied abroad and they are proud of their national textile. For instance, they are wearing batik or woven textile. Next, they present themselves as a successful student in their respected areas. For instance, in Korea, in Morocco, in Czech Republic, and and in Edinburgh in UK. So we also engage. We have a collaboration with Mr. Didit Maulana, Indonesian fashion designer for Miss Universe, as a UN partner Sustainable Development Goals in fashion. That he used I Wear Batik to sensitize the clients in order to and provide them tools. Which kind of batik meanings do you want to have? So this kind of interactive conversation can be served through digital technology. Next. So like this one from Victorioto, he actually won as the fourth place in the batik contest. That he said that he is proud to wear batik because batik is not only a form of art but also representation of moral values. As an example, the pattern in my arms are called kawung, which represent self-control and purity. So we give all the recognition to young people who recognize the meaning of batik that they wear. That's why among the 30 participants on this batik contest, we choose the best four that they are really embody a person who are who is the bright, young, and prestige who wear batik as their national outfit. Next. So, and lastly, as I told you, that we have to protect the Indonesian, or not only Indonesian, but your country's cultural property law by creating this kind of, the motif passport. So we call it batik passport. As you see here, the motif durian pecah, copyright Jambi province, Indonesian batik. In order to put that kind of passport of batik or passport of motif, I have to go through all the series of research in order to know if this durian pecah was origin from Jambi, and if somebody would like to claim, they need to the quote unquote put all the data on the table in front of all the researchers in the field. So in this sense, if I would like to encourage maybe the Philippines designers and Indonesian designers to try to apply the same respect in the um, in the textile heritage that you would like to promote. And this one, we need to say that I Wear Batik is one of the successful international collaboration in textile that we are covered and being highlighted by Swiss Parliament of the most one of the most digital technologies that serve for humanity, and then also UN WTO World Tourism Day 2020 as the a pilot project of digital technology that serve for rural tourism and textile. Next. And lastly, if you would like to talk more, we can try. We can always communicate with each other from the Instagram or I Wear Batik, and next from my personal accounts. Thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you so much, Ibu Ayu. So now we are in the Q&A sessions. We already hear the presentation from our resource speakers, and I see there are some questions that is addressed to the resource speakers. First questions, I think this can be answered by Mr. Emmy and Miss Cindy from Mr. Rika Ford. Good afternoon, everyone. This is Great Forum, and I have one question to the resource speakers. How do you protect your design from other entities or individual from other countries who do counterfeiting your design? So how do you that in your professional career? So who will be the first? Mrs. Cindy or Sir Emmy? Sir Emmy?
All right. I can go first.
Yes, please.
Yeah, before I answer the question, I really would like to commend the presentations made by Ms. Cospita and Ms. Cindy also a while ago. We really, personally, I really learned a lot from there, and I really hope that more designers from the Philippines will have the opportunity as well to, collaborate with them in the nearest future, and also learn from the manner they were able to, you know, um, organized and established the kind of academic work, but also at the same time the creative enterprise that they have created with traditional and heritage based crafts and also artisanal skills and also crafts. No, so congratulations to the two of you. That was really inspiring, and I hope that I'll be able to connect with you soon as well. Yeah, to answer that question, protection on the work that we do. Well, for now, the Philippines is really trying its best to strengthen its copyright as well as intellectual property policies, and I think this is really the best time to engage more on that, because there has never really been a good time for Filipino designers in particular to um, give more attention, especially on intellectual property. I am very how do you call this? I'm very impressed with how the Indonesian designers were able to really secure intellectual property, and that's really something that we Filipino designers should really learn a lot from. So I hope that the way we're able to start it off here in the Philippines now, we're able to continue doing it, and all the more we are able to give more attention, especially on textile traditions, which I think for the longest time wasn't really given much attention, not until of course lately. So with the intellectual property office now that we have here in the Philippines, we're able to start a series of initiatives on how to protect our textile traditions, our textile motifs, for that matter.
Thank you, sir. Miss Cindy, Mrs. Cindy.
Yes, thank you for the questions. Yeah. So based on my experience, we do protect the design. We have a copyright, but we register to intellectual property nationally in Indonesia. Well, however, for international, that's something for us that we need to work on to protect the design, because we all know that, let's say, the motif that I presented before, the kakunsi, it's all a community, the base community, Sangihe Talaut, North Sulawesi property, right? So, but then we also created design, not only kakunsi, but we develop another design. And yes, we do register that nationally. But in terms of international property rights, so something that we need to work closely, of course, with the government to help us in terms of register that international. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So the second question comes from Miss Francisca. I have noticed that there are similarity in the Indonesian and the Philippines traditional patterns. Considering this similarity, what do you think is the best form of collaboration between both countries that could be explored? So, any thoughts from our research speakers?
Well, I think one would be cultural exchange. It would be best that we're able to do something like that, so that we will have a better understanding of the traditional patterns, and in that manner also we're able to create a very I should say a very important consciousness and awareness on the extent and also the nature or the profile of these traditional patterns. Because while we may have similar patterns, but I think that there are also other things to consider in terms of excuse me, cultural point of view, in terms of the patterns. I think one of the techniques there is ikat, which I believe is also very prominent in Indonesia. We also have our ikat patterns or ikat weaving techniques here in the Philippines, especially with our lumad groups. No, so that in itself, is a very fertile ground, to explore collaboration and better understanding. I think um, another one would be research also. I really like what Miss Paspita is doing in terms of digitalizing all of this, because it makes it a lot easier for us to have a better understanding of the different motives, and how I wish that we're able also to do the same here in the Philippines, so that we can let especially the younger generation understand better, and will have a better appreciation of our traditional patterns. So I think uh, we can really start with cultural exchange and also research to begin with, so that from else can we be able to maximize this kind of opportunities in terms of collaboration.
Thank you.
May I
Yes,
propose?
please. Yes, please.
Okay, I don't know if I can share screen from here. Yeah, let's try. Okay, it's just that I would like to relate. Have you seen my screen maybe?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, okay. So I will relate to what Mr. Emmy English saying, that we can start to find in the identification. First of all, if you come to iWare Batik website, we provide the interactive map of all Indonesian textile heritage that you really will be amazed of how virtually pleasing, I mean visually pleasing these textiles are. Let's try to visit our fellows hometown, Miss Cindy, North Sulawesi. Try to see if in order to identify what kind of similarities you have. So even in Minahasa, in North Sulawesi, you will identify four different types of motifs. First of all, is pinawetengan, that is, the tribal motif that, I mean, what is that? Invented their own letters in the past. Not only that, but also those related to Tarika Basaran, is the dance, the performance of the region, and this one will maybe relate to kofo, that is the textile that is right now try to be preserved by Miss Cindy. It's like, I mean, what is that? The title of this motif is Waruga, um, that has the relationship of the historical relationship of the ancestor, Minahasan ancestor. So try to see if, in this sense, we in one page like this, you will see all these stakeholders, not only the young people that are trying to visit the batik village or the textile woven textile village, but also in this collaboration, we engage the tourism sectors. For instance, if you see this page, you will see not only the tourist attraction, but also some visual designers. For instance, we create a film for 1 minute, visual journey that encompass all not only the destinations in just 30 seconds, and the other 30 seconds for the wrap up of what is the meaning of each textile. So if you would just see this, my screen sharing, you will just see the glimpse of what is the, you know, what is the specialty of your textile. Is it just a textile, or there is a story behind the place? Not only that, but also behind the beauty of the meaning inside it. So try to see, as textile is marvelous, because from a textile you can draw out a lot of possible collaborations with every entities, not only the government, but also even young people who just can post something and try to create something with their, I don't know, phone, so for instance. So I think we need to be aware of saying that collaboration in terms of national at national level, for instance, we need to think that means for it, if Indonesian designers would like to collaborate with the Philippines designers, I would think that maybe you can create this co-creative narration. For instance, if one shirt has two types of motif, one from Philippine, one from Indonesian motif, you can create in the catalog of how the resembles of the motif are connected and the root of your ancestors are connected through this part of this, yeah, this piece of textile or this piece of shirt. So in the sense that now we are living in a lifestyle not only in our mindset but also in how digital technology becomes the tool to transform, I mean, like as a transporter from your mindset to the reality. Think of the Harry Potter. So Harry Potter, it starts from the creating the imaginations from the book, that it has these meanings of the wizard and everything. But then when you go to England for the Harry Potter world or something like that, you can see the tangible experience for it. So think of textile as in the same manner, because first of all you have to live with the story inside your mind, the way you behave, the way you feel your the textile touch your body, and then try to confirm this or presents this to the world through any digital technologies that you can access. I think that's my thoughts. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Cindy. Any thoughts about what a possibility for collaboration do you think we can do in the future? I think you haven't. You are still muted, ma'am. You are still muted, Mrs. Cindy. Okay, Miss Cindy. Okay, Miss Cindy, can you hear me? Okay,
Miss Cindy is still muted.
yeah, she's still muted, but I'm not sure whether she hear me or not. Okay, maybe we move to another questions first. Oh, this is to Miss Cindy. The next question is to Mr. Emmy. Uh, and of course Miss Ayu and Mrs. Cindy. In your opinion, how to engage more young people in this heritage fashion? Since we know that Indonesia and the Philippines is rich in heritage fashion. So, for your experience, what do you think is the best practice, Mr. Emmy, to do that, to engage more young people into the heritage fashion?
Well, in my experience, I think our students, for example, especially the younger generation of designers, have really gotten so much interest to traditional culture and traditional textiles, for example, by letting them immerse in the communities where these traditions are. Okay, so we really let them go there and experience it themselves, so that they better understand, or they have a better understanding of the context of the textile traditions, for example, or the beading traditions. Whatever is how do you call this, is present in specific communities, because we have different communities here which have, of course, specific traditions. Some are on textiles, some are on beading, and some are on arts and crafts. So I think immersion is one of the best ways, to allow them to experience it hands on. I mean, firsthand so that they better appreciate the tradition. But I guess because of the pandemic now, we're quite limited. Yeah, yeah. But one thing that I can see as a very how do we call this as a very practical way of letting them appreciate it more is what actually Miss Puspita has done so far with I
Yes.
Wear Batik. Yeah, providing access to that would really be a very I should say exciting option, especially for the younger ones who are into gadgets, who are really online almost all the time. Yes, you see, so there's really a lot I mean, it's really a lot practical for them to be able to learn more using all of those platforms.
Thank you, Mr. Emmy. So for Miss Puspita Ayu, uh, I mean, what do you think about we know that by making the eyewear batik, many youngsters more interesting into the batik. So, based on your experience, how was the download? So, how many is that many youngsters who did the download and reach out to you to asking about the eyewear batik, or it just the common? I mean, not only the young generation, but also other generations. How was your
Yeah.
experience?
Oh yeah, thank you very much. And yeah, it's really interesting question because we have seen so far that the engagement from who download the app. So there is this digital again digital security in protecting profiles in not only in App Store but also Android. We can only from the download, for instance, we can only see which countries download the most, but we cannot see who are the profiles because if we maybe now I'm 33 years old and I access my cell phones, and then one day someone reports that Miss Puspita, 33 years old, download from Switzerland, and I think it's all too much leak of profile yeah, leak, data leak, for instance. So what can we infer from? We infer from the website visitors. Website visitors are mostly visited by website visitors have different types of security. So they can actually be mapped as several generations. So this is the Eyewear Batik website was mostly visited by the range of 20 to 40 years old. So it's like our millennials age generation. But then the 40 above, yeah, this age range are most, I mean, less significant, or yeah, it's just that we actually from these numbers we can calibrate and we can see the success of our plan to engage more young people inside the digital technology. But in terms of the downloads, we are reaching 2,000 downloads, not only in Android but also in iOS. um, I mean, all the totality, almost 2,000. And we have seen that the most download comes from Indonesia and the USA. So this is also interesting. In the US, there has been a lot of people who, I mean, maybe they thanks to the Indonesian embassies in the US that try to always engage with the public, local public, uh, throughout the batik. So they are more sensitized. First of all, after the tangible experience of the textile heritage in of the events, and then once USA are aware of this, the presence of Fiber Batik mobile app, they are trying to use a lot. So when we see that the map of in international in terms of downloads, we are also surprised that Indonesia is the first, and second one is the USA, and the third one is the Switzerland. Of course, this has been a Swiss, based mobile app, but yeah, I think it is really interesting that USA is one of the, I mean, at least right now is the most developed country that is very influential. And if Indonesian batik, when we look into the digital diplomacy in digital way, when you are kind of being accessed by for instance, like most developed country, it is most likely that in this type or this subject, for instance, now I Wear Batik is talking about the batik and textile heritage, will be known in the world. So this kind of word of mouth, who are the most powerful who spread this? If this spread it by some people, then there will be like a leverage on that subject.
Okay, thank you, Miss Ayu. So the question addressed to Miss Cindy from Miss Yunita. Good afternoon, everyone. I do really enthusiastic to know about Kofo product. To wearing clothes from banana fabric with so many heritage value. I curious to know for how long this product can be used or where. Is Kofo have validity period and how to maintain the fabric, ma'am? Thank you.
Well, thank you for the question. It's quite interesting, which is the Kofo product actually based on the abaca fiber. As we know, abaca fiber has very strong material, also known as the material for dollars. So the characteristics of abaca fiber is quite strong, durability, longevity. So you can wear actually if use 100% abaca fiber. Let's say it's for ornaments or decoration. But then I mentioned before that we collaborated with Bandung Institute Technology and we develop softer fiber. So with that being said, we develop softer fiber that can be used, of course, daily. Let's say for clothing that you gotta use also develop products like shoes, accessories, handbags. So currently, we're about to launch soon our collaboration with Bandung Institute Technology. But currently, we also have abaca fiber that we combine with cotton. So with combining with cotton makes the fabrics, let's say, not so rough, so more softer, and then it's wearable. And we also use the technique of ikat, so 100% cotton with the kofo motifs. So there's a room to play, let's say room to play. So not only the abaca fibers 100%, but we also combine with cotton, we also combine with silk. So in terms of design, there's also a room to improve. So I started this in 2016, and up until now, we collaborated with the weavers, with the artisans. Also, we have our in-house the designers, and we are open to collaborate it with other designers in Indonesia or even in Philippines, because in this era is a collaboration era. So I see opportunity even in Indonesia or even in Philippines, as I learned also a lot of abaca fibers or kind of banana fibers in Philippines. So something that we can work together.
Thank you, Mrs. Cindy. So the next question from Mr. Rodel. I have some follow-up question. How do you collaborate with indigenous people and SME sectors in your country for this heritage fashion? And at the same time, how you empower them for their social economic growth? So the role of indigenous people and SME sectors in your country. Mr. Emmy, maybe you can answer first. Sir?
Very active signal. Hello?
Yes, yes. Yeah, now we can hear
Yeah,
you.
can you hear me?
Yes, right
All
now.
right, okay. May I just ask you to repeat the question because I wasn't able to get it. My signal went off a bit,
Yeah.
for a
Uh,
few seconds.
how do you collaborate with indigenous people and SME sector in your country for this heritage fashion? And at the same time, how you empower them for their social economic growth?
Okay. All right. I think that's a very good question. And I really would like to thank whoever asked this question for raising that very important question, because I guess that's one of the many concerns and issues that have really surfaced a lot during the past how many maybe years, no? Because I don't know with Indonesia, but in the case of the Philippines, um, our indigenous communities and our indigenous peoples here have really raised that concern, because they felt that they were not. I mean, there's no how to call this, the kind of uh, relationship between MSMEs and them was not really well defined, no, in such a way that they felt that they were really taken advantage in many ways than one. So I guess in my experience working with these different communities, I realized that as an outsider myself, because first and foremost, I am an outsider, and I should not presume that I'm actually going to their community and giving them the best solution possible. The thing is that their culture had been there for so many years, and in many ways than one, they actually have figured out many ways to survive, no, whatever circumstances there had been, and circumstances that there will still be, these indigenous communities must have already figured that out. And the thing is just that I guess my role there, or our role there as outsiders of the community, is to help them, um, you know, transition maybe, or transcend maybe from their traditional culture to the mainstream culture, right? But in terms of letting them be with their with the solutions to their concerns or issues, I think I would rather really leave it to them. So that the role there that I needed to do is basically help them empower themselves, and that's a thing that we are doing right now, to be able to educate more designers coming from their own communities, not necessarily bringing outside designers to their communities. But it would be best that, you know, among themselves, they're able to to produce more mainstream designers. Of course, we have our traditional artisans already in the community, but for the younger generation, if they're able to produce more mainstream designers, I think that would really be wonderful, so that they themselves are able to understand that or engage in the moment. So I think for schools where we're saying that the assistance that we can possibly extend to the communities is number one, um, uh, empower them in terms of skills, in terms of say for especially digital skills, because we are now in an age where everything is really online, you know, and this is maybe one of the many things that or one of the areas that they would be needing our assistance from. But as what I've said, I really don't want to presume anymore that as an outsider, I know better than they do how to be able to solve their problems. So for MSMEs, it's really good that, you know, you have to have a connection with the community, and like how we researchers are doing, whatever we extract from the community, we have the responsibility of course bringing it back to them and showing them you know how far and wide that kind of information, that kind of detail had really gone through after it was, you know, brought out from their community. So I think that it's very important that MSMEs will have that kind of sensitivity and consciousness, so that, you know, our cultural communities will not really feel that they are taken advantage of. And I know in our situation here in the Philippines, they really have a long history of trauma, and we don't want anymore to, you know, um, uh, uh, dip in that one. So as much as possible, we would want to have a more open communication. We have to have a more open relationship with them, and I think that one of the ways there is, of course, a better understanding that can possibly, you know, be started with a kind of communication or dialogue between MSMEs and, of course, the community itself.
Thank you so much, Mr. Emmy. So, Miss Ayu, do you
Yes.
yeah, do you have
Yeah.
any thoughts about this question?
Okay, thank you so much. It's really a great question, because I think I also relate what Mr. Emmy has said about the sensitivity of researchers in this case is like primordial in the world. I mean, like it's really, I mean, if we get the knowledge, please use that knowledge to as the tool to save people. And I think it's not about the, I mean, you know, we are in an academic environment. We are full of egoistic, not only the goals, mindset, and everything, but we know we should be aware that we are, I mean, I do believe that I learned from the nomination of batik, Indonesian batik, as intangible cultural heritage of humanity. This word humanity itself is a key. You know, if you are working on the textile heritage that is nominated as, for instance, now Indonesian batik is just an example. So Philippine textile heritage is an example of textile heritage of humanity. And woven textile of Kofo is a textile of humanity. You should work towards the humanity itself. Because, for instance, right now, if we take an example of eyewear batik, we engage a lot of Indonesian young associations, and they do reach out to us from our Instagram followers of eyewear batik, from 0 to 500 followers. No, not 500, but I think 400 followers. Not so much, but at least we are grateful that from this 400 followers, they are all I mean, SMEs and Indonesian youth sympathizers who would like to contribute their minds and their efforts to enrich the content of eyewear batik. Why this eyewear batik is, first of all, it's a free platform, and we don't generate any money from that, because it is actually funded by UNESCO. Both servers has demanded a lot of investment. So the goal is just to provide the knowledge that can be accessed by all all people in the world, be they are governmental stakeholders, be as SMEs, be young people, or just fashion followers, in order to, by their efforts and being aware of this knowledge, they can be they can help the people in their environment. So we there are a lot of small medium enterprise who use the content of our batik, but still we remind everyone, if anyone would like to use the content of our batik, to always put the source ourbatik.org, or try to put the source if the motive comes from other profits, not from your own. So this is like a respect that we call a motive by their names, their origin. It's really like a human. So that's why, the title of national heritage of humanity should always needs to be there. So I think the small medium enterprise in this sense are helped by the content of eyewear batik, if they would like to sell the textile heritage from their regions. They use eyewear batik content, and then so voila. The transactions are more sustainable in educative way, or maybe another sustainable way in the future, hopefully.
Thank you, Miss Ayu. So, Mrs. Cindy, we would like to hear your thoughts. How do you collaborate with indigenous people and SME sector for this heritage fashion, and at the same time, how you empower them for their social economic growth? Do you hear me?
Yes, Miss Ellie, can you repeat
Yeah. Okay.
the first one?
How do you collaborate with indigenous people and SME sector in your country for this heritage fashion? And at the same time, how you empower them for their social economic growth?
Okay, so we collaborated with the indigenous people, which is in Sangihe first, and then also in Talaut. So, firstly, actually, I approach the people in Talaut, because why Talaut? Because Talaut has abundantly abaca fibers grow at that island. So I approached the Talaut people at there, and then I found the pieces of abaca fiber, hand woven kofo textile. And actually, I have to say that I have to make this clear that this kofo fabric actually called kind of like extinct. So we have to start it from zero. So I get back from the root in Talaut, and then I found weavers that doing this hand woven. Well, it's just kind of like just kind of like not even a hobby. Just if she has time, okay, she'll do it. But if not, then no. So it's not kind of like a prime work or something to get money. So with that, I was thinking that wow, this is very valuable heritage, something to preserve. So I built the brand awareness actually about the Kofo, because back in Talaut or Sangihe back then in 2016, when I asked, do you know about Kofo textile or Kofo fabrics? And they said, oh, I don't know about it. And then I have to ask around to people, oh, actually that made from abaca fibers, hand woven. And they're like, oh, I know one people who made that. Oh, I know the lady that made that. But the awareness is not there, back
Mm.
then. So it started with build the awareness that this Kofo textile, it's actually from North Sulawesi, origin in Sangihe Talaut. So with that, of course, approach the head of cultural in Sangihe, the head of cultural in Talaut, because it's two different island. And then from that, empower the locals. So it started with Sangihe and Talaut, which is we give them education. So we teach them on from zero again, about the A to C, about the hand woven. So how do we do it? So we partner, we collaborated with the Minister of Industry and Trade, and then we empower them. We give them education first. So number one is education first. That's what we give to them. And after education, of course, need practice, right? So need practice of doing that. And beside that, we also give them knowledge. Of course, we're visiting with the designers, okay, how to make the hand woven. Let's start it with no motif first, so because that is easy. Because when it comes with the motif, it more difficult. So we started with a plain one with no motifs. So it started from there. So education first, give them knowledge, and then engage with the locals, which is up until now. We work very closely with the locals, especially in Talauts, because they in Talauts, they are the source of abaca. It doesn't mean that in Sangihe they don't have. They do have in Sangihe, but much more in Talaut. So our people, our community in Talaut, actually we have two groups of people at two groups, one group 10 people, so total 20 people at there. So we empower them not only for textile but also for handbags, basket, for home decoration. And then with that bring value, so economic value to them.
Yeah.
So of course right now it's not like main or a source of income for them, but
Mm.
our goal is kind of like that. We empower, we get more orders, and um, eventually will give them benefits to get value from what they're doing. But I was thinking, if we not start now, then when? So started in 2016. I knew it took time, and then in the beginning, I do know I really love North Sulawesi. I really love to preserve the culture. So to be honest, I started with the spirit first, but I do realize spirit is not enough. At the end, we need to survive. We need to give impact to the community. We need to bring a value. We need to give more income actually for the community itself. Yeah.
Thank you,
Thank
Miss
you.
Cindy. What a wonderful answers. So we already spent around 1.5 hours, and it's been really a great time from me to hear your stories and your experiences from our three resource speakers. We hope that after this there will be more our collaboration events like what our conjen said before. And before we close this session, but I would like to hear your last message, maybe from every resource speakers to our audience. What do you want to say to them? So please, Mr. Emmy, your message to us.
Yeah. Again, I would like to thank the Indonesian consulate, especially Consul Jan Diki Fabrian, for this invitation. We're very grateful for the opportunity. We've been talking about collaboration and potential areas to explore in terms of maybe business support in the future. I think that was just last month with our DFDCI president, Doji Batu. And now we have already started with something. And this really means so much to us. No? And we're really looking forward as well on how we can probably take things from here. And of course, you have two very wonderful speakers here this afternoon, Miss Pospita and Mrs. Cindy. I personally is very thankful that I have learned a lot in terms of batik and also the indigenous textile of North Sulawesi. That's the best practices that you have are really worth learning from, and I just really hope that we too will be able to, do that here as well in the Philippines, because we also have a lot of textile traditions, and we needed to bring them from the usual or traditional way of um, presenting them in platforms to the new platforms like the platform that Eyewear Boutique has started with UNESCO. That's really something very practical and very accessible, especially for our digital generation. And I hope that from here onwards, we'll be able to find more opportunities and explore more opportunities to be able to learn from each other. And we hope that this is just but the beginning of many things to come. So all the best and more for everyone. And congratulations to the Indonesian consulate for organizing this event. You really did very well, and congratulations even for leading the international celebration of creative economy for sustainable development this year. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Mrs. Cindy, we would like to hear from you.
Well, thank you so much for the Consul General, Mr. Diki Fabrian, and of course, our beloved moderator, Miss Ellie, for this great opportunity. Well, I learned a lot today from our speakers, Mr. Emmy and Miss Puspita, which is it's very practical. Then I didn't know that actually you know a lot about the batiks from North Sulawesi and even all around Indonesia. After you click, and like go around Indonesia, it's very cool. I think that application is very cool. So there's a room to collaborate in the futures. There's a room to improve, of course, and also from me. As the founder for COFO Indonesia, actually, I'm very thankful for this opportunity to present about what we did to preserve the culture, the heritage from North Sulawesi. And we do open collaboration or any partnership. We do open. So far, we work very closely, of course, with the community and helped by the local government. But for other institutions that willing to collaborate, we do open. So please do reach us, and we can talk more. Well, thank you so much.
Yes. Ellie still muted. Okay. Maybe it's
Yeah. Last but not least, Miss Pulpita Ayu.
okay. Thank you very much. It's not a closing remark, but an invitation to everyone who loves textile heritage to um, to treat textile as a humanity products for all generations. We are not living in this generation, but through textile, we can transfer not only the wisdom, but also possible and potential employment for our generations in and not only in national Indonesian domestic context, but also in our neighbor Philippines. We invite all of you to celebrate the richness of textile heritage. And I also would like to congratulate Consul General of Davao City for celebrating, for organizing this beautiful events and to meet as a platform to meet Indonesian bright founder as Miss Cindy and also Mr. Emmy, who is a very inspiring leader in bringing all together towards the sustainable fashion, and hopefully also it has an impact to tourism in the future after COVID pandemic. And then the last but not least, I invite all of you, the Indonesian and Philippine audience today, to download Eyewear Batik. especially for Indonesian passport to download in order to help the digital diplomacy of Indonesia through this textile heritage. And for Philippine audience today, you can learn a lot from this application on how you can benefit not only the richness of your cultural cultural assets in your tourism regions, but also the richness of your textile and how you can promote better in a sustainable way, in engaging way, and of course in a beautiful way as your textile heritage are. Thank you so much for your attention. I wish you all health, stay healthy and safe and sound, and hopefully we can meet each other in Indonesia or in Manila one day. Thank you. You're still muted, Miss Ali.
Yeah. Okay, sorry. I just realized. I would like to invite our beloved Consul General Diki Fabrian. Maybe he would like to deliver some of closing remarks to this event.
Thank you, Ma'am Ellie. Thank you, speakers, Mr. Emi English, Ibu Cindy Wawor, and Ibu Puspita Ayu Permatasari. This is, like we mentioned before, this is a new beginning. This is a new things, a new platform for us to have this introduction of the Indonesia and the Philippine heritage fashion. And during this webinar, we learn a lot. All of the source persons explain and share their expertise with regard to this heritage fashion. I would like also to inform Ibu Cindy Wawor especially that I was in Tahuna 2 months ago. So I experienced how people in Tahuna about this action of the having the heritage fashion, and hopefully with the permission of all of us from God Almighty, that there will be a sea connectivity between Tahuna and General Santos. And with this connectivity, if it is happening soon, whereas the passengers and also the cargo will be there through the Tampungan Lawo ship, more and more people from Tahuna or Sangihe or Talaut will be able to come to Davao, especially through this road. And I would like to thanks once again to our source persons, the experience, listening your expertise and telling us about how beautiful is our heritage fashion from the two countries. Ibu Puspita talking about batik, Ibu Wawor talking about also batik, but with the special abaka as the main things to produce that product. And also to Mr. Emi English, you mentioned a lot about the what you have in the Philippines, and you are, because you are living in nearby. Do not hesitate to come to our office in Davao City. We can explore more opportunity to discuss more about this issue. And last but not least, to the moderator, Ma'am Ellie, thank you very much for the wonderful job. I believe that we gained something in this regard. And once again, I thank you to the three source persons and all participants of this webinar. I get back to you, Ma'am Ellie. Thank you very much. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you so much, Pak Ponjen. Once again, we would like to once again thank you, our resource speaker for giving your time for today's session. Rest assured that our embassy in Manila and of course Indonesian Consulate General in Davao will be more than happy to have more collaborations with all of you and maybe all other counterparts related to creative economy sectors. I represent the committee would like to apologize if there are any technical inconvenience during the webinar. So I wish you guys all good health and all the best. And once again, do not forget for everyone who has been here to visit the virtual booths of our 50 Indonesian companies on Indonesia Food, Beverage, and Lifestyle Expo until today and 5 p.m. So thank you so much for everyone. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you. See you in our next session.
Bye.
Thank you very much, Miss Ellie.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you, Mr. Ellie, Emmy,
Emmy,
Mr. Dicky.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Thank you, and nice meeting you all.
Yeah.
Thank you.
For
Okay.
everyone with handouts, you can download it from the handouts on the right side.